here's Brody Brazil.
Even though this has been a slow-moving and slow-brewing situation, it's still something worth paying attention to. The Diamondbacks have been at Chase Field, formerly Bank One Ballpark, for about 30 years. Their lease is up right around the corner, and this building needs a lot of instant work done to it, some concrete work, some air conditioning work. The roof can't be opened and closed with anybody in the facility. They're worried about stuff breaking and falling on people, but they need some money to fix this place up. The Diamondbacks certainly aren't going to pay for all of that themselves, and in terms of public funding, that's always going to be a sticking point, but it now kind of seems like maybe there is a solution for revenue to fix up Chase Field to make it sustainable for another 30 years so that the Diamondbacks don't have to go out there and say, well, maybe we'll move just like the hockey team recently did. The Coyotes went to Salt Lake City and became the Utah Hockey Club. The big picture looks like this. The team's lease at the stadium expires at the end of the 2027 season. That is literally right around the corner. May I remind you, we're about to see the 25 season in the next couple weeks and months. The roof, inoperable while fans are in the stands. I already explained that. You just can't have that. By the way, last March, before the baseball season got underway, they had an exhibition game there that was a rainout. How do you have a rainout at a stadium with a retractable roof? Well, you have the roof open, you didn't see the rain coming, the rain came, and you couldn't shut the roof with fans in the stands because of safety precautions. So yeah, there was a rainout, I kid you not, at Chase Field. Air conditioning, it's no longer capable to either keep up or the system needs to be redone or reworked. And I used to say, well, that doesn't make sense. How could that possibly happen? It is 30 years old, and if you're a homeowner, like you know how these things go, infrastructure needs replacement. Yeah, about every 30 years for big things like that. And speaking of infrastructure, they're saying it's past the lifespan of the building. So pipes and wiring and, yeah, I mean, look, let's be honest here. Stadiums, they should last longer than 30 years, but I understand that's what they're doing here. They're fixing it up so that at this 30-year point, they don't have a lot of problems with it for the next 30 years. I've always said that stadiums are wasteful, like what the Texas Rangers did with their first ballpark in Arlington. Well, it's 30 years old. We got to move out. Are you serious? You got to fix that up at least 2 or 3 times over before you consider moving out and building something new. Otherwise, it's wasteful. So that's not what's happening here. They're not trying to move out of the stadium. They're just realizing that there are some major things to fix. Also noteworthy, a 2018 lawsuit made the team responsible for repairs and upgrades. And also this, the team in recent years has indicated that they want to stay. They want to do more and build more around the facility. But things got a little spicy in late 2024 between the team and the city and the county in terms of a new lease and the timing of this. And a 50-year lease, I believe, was offered to the team. And they're like, wait, a 50-year lease? Who does that? They're all trying to get what they want out of this. Obviously, what the team wants is some upgrades to the stadium. I do think they're willing to pay some, but maybe not all. But obviously, local government is not going to give everything away absolutely for free. So there has to be some teamwork on this. And that brings me to what was just introduced, probably as you're watching this, last week, basically last Tuesday. House Bill 2704. Now, without getting into every single paragraph here, it's similar structure to what's going on with the Arizona Cardinals and their situation over in Glendale at State Farm Stadium. Essentially, what this would do is capture sales tax revenue from all purchases at the stadium. So you buy some merchandise, you buy tickets, you buy food, you buy beverages, whatever it is, all the sales tax basically now goes into a fund where it can be saved and help improve the stadium over time. Not just sales tax, though. A lot of times it's sales tax and we're done. It's also all income tax from everybody who works at Chase Field. And I don't know if it's just Chase Field, the footprint proper, or maybe it extends a couple blocks. It seems to me like it's just the stadium facility. But check this out. Income tax from everybody who works there, players included. Like you're going to get a lot more income tax from them, let's face it, than you are from a minimum wage worker somewhere else on the facility. The point is, it's not just sales tax, it's also income tax. All of this is going to be captured and then reallocated into this fund, which I'll tell you in a second how much they think they're going to get every year. And that fund gets saved up year after year so that the team and the city and county can pay for improvements and things that they need to do, like fix the HVAC system. Now, it's going to be touted in this way, that it doesn't create or raise taxes. It doesn't create new taxes or raise taxes, existing taxes. It only reallocates them. But that is important because all that tax money that they used to generate for the city and the county and the state, I believe, at this site, they're not getting that anymore. So they're willing to part ways with it. At least that's what House Bill 2704 has introduced here. We'll see if it passes or not. It is a significant tax revenue loss for local government. They are giving that to the team to the tune of maybe $15 to $20 million per year, but they're not adding anything new. So it doesn't have to pass a vote. It doesn't have to change like that. They're kind of backdooring this money into the team, into the facility. But I also want to clarify here, it's not like the team can use this for just anything. This money, and if it is 15 to 20 million, I'll get to that in a second, it can only be used for reconstructing, equipping, repairing, maintaining, or improving the Major League Baseball facility. None of it can go to team operating costs, right? You can't pay your players with it. You can't pay your staff with it. It's got to go strictly to the venue. And if you think about it, 15 to 20 million per year, so that's what, 200 million, 150 to 200 million every decade, a couple decades. Yeah, that kind of gets you into the range of what you would expect. Repairs, maintenance, some upgrades. You want to make this a sustainable ballpark, Chase Field, where it's at, downtown Phoenix. You want to make this so that it can be viable for years to come. Now, the team can take that money per House Bill 2704, that expected money in revenue every year. They can use that income, plus they can borrow cash, plus they can also add their own, which they say is maybe up to $300 million for renovation projects. So you see how this kind of multiplies here. So they can use it, they can borrow against the income or because of the income, and then they can also add their own cash to do renovation projects. So it quickly balloons up and it quickly turns into even a larger amount of money. Now, Arizona Republic, the publication here, says that state taxes will go towards the stadium, as we just mentioned, right? So the sales tax and the income tax on site, it's going to go towards the stadium instead of things like education, healthcare for low-income residents, prisons, and other programs. Now, that's all from the state tax perspective. I also understand that it's like a 5.5% tax, and basically the team would take 5%, but keep that 0.5% for education only. Apparently that was the existing allocation for education. They didn't want to touch that. Like, that just looks bad. But I don't know if that's from a city or county level. Like, this is very deep, and we're not going into the weeds that deep here. Point is, there are going to be some cutbacks on tax revenue, that money's not going to go other places because it's now being saved for the stadium. So here's the question. If this House bill passes, does this pass first and then a new lease gets signed? Because you don't want to pass this and then have the team play hardball on a lease negotiation. If local government is going to do this, then the team is absolutely going to turn around and sign that lease for probably 30 years. That's pretty customary. But which gets done first? Does the lease get signed first and then House Bill 2704 passes? Like, you can see what I'm talking about here. A little chicken and egg thing between government officials and the baseball team. A little cat and mouse game, maybe. So how's that going to play out? And as I mentioned before, things were tense in late 2024, but now there are some new Maricopa County supervisors that have taken office at the beginning of the calendar year. So maybe some of those tensions have simmered down and died down. And yeah, now we've got a House bill to be voted on, and obviously the team is behind this. They would love for this to happen. So let me get to some takeaways here about Chase Field. Number one, the problems we're talking about here, I got to be honest, and the fixes that are necessary, these things seem like a necessity. We're not saying that the club level needs more plush seats or the wallpaper needs to be redone in the bathrooms on the concourse level. I mean, that could be important too. We're talking about, like, the roof doesn't open and shut. The HVAC system is busted. And there's concrete issues and structural issues, maybe not structural, but concrete issues with the stadium. So, like, those things do seem important. I'm glad we're at that level and not something a lot less important. I also want to just circle back on this. It is kind of deceiving to say, well, there's no new taxes here. That's true. There's nothing new, but you're taking all the existing taxes and funneling them somewhere else. So all the programs that got tax money are no longer going to get tax money. Like, it's got to be explained. Like, it can't just be sold with no new taxes. Well, then how else are you pulling this off? I would hope the average citizen at least understands what's going on here. We don't yet know if the city and county are good with this. We don't yet know how this House bill is going to be voted on, when it's going to be voted on, how it's going to go. There is some support. We do know that, but enough support to pass it, that's not certain yet. And I also want to say that if the team is also kind of sweetening the pot here by saying, you know what, if all this goes the right way, we're good because we want to be here. We'll chip in. We'll do our own work around the stadium, or we've got our own $300 million that we want to pump in. That's great. That helps. I mean, they don't necessarily own this building, but they're responsible for the upkeep and the maintenance, and now we've kind of gone back and forth on that. But if the team is willing to help and pony up as part of this, I'm not going to go against that one single bit. So maybe there's a revenue solution. Maybe this is quick. Maybe this situation all goes away. I want to play the other side of it, though. What if the House bill gets shot down here? I forgot the number, 2708, 27, whatever it was. What happens if this doesn't go through? Uh-oh. Now you got a baseball team that's upset. You got politicians that are upset. You've got the whole, there's no path to fix this, get this done. Our stadium's busted. Everything that was wrong with Chase Field last year is going to be amplified this year. Now we're closer to the lease expiring after 2027. So you see my point that this gets a lot more complicated if this right here doesn't all work out in the very near future. Let me know what you think about it down in the comments section below. Also, since this is the end of the video, thumbs up down below. That'll greatly help me, this video, and this channel. And one more request. Make sure you're already subscribing to this channel. That way I definitely get to see you back here next time.